Welcome to Deep Dive, the podcast where we plunge into the depths of knowledge. Today, join Scott and Becky as they explore the intricacies of the New York Notary Public exam.
All right, let's jump right into this deep dive on becoming a New York Notary Public. Thinking about making that move, huh?
It's a great path to consider, actually.
Yeah. What is it about being a notary public that people might not realize is interesting?
Well, for one, the history behind it is pretty amazing.
Oh, tell me more.
I mean, did you know that the role of a notary public dates back to ancient Rome? It's true.
You're kidding. I had no idea it went back that far. Ancient Rome. That's wild. So what were they doing back then? Like verifying chariot purchases with a wax seal?
Exactly. Well, kinda. It's all about trust and authenticity in legal documents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back then, they used wax seals, and today, your signature carries that same weight. They were ensuring those documents were legitimate, just like today.
Wow, so it's like being a guardian of important documents throughout history. That's a cool way to think about it. But, okay, fast forward to the 21st century. What does a New York Notary Public actually do?
In a nutshell,
Yeah.
it boils down to upholding the integrity of legal transactions. You're verifying identities, making sure people are who they say they are, and that they're signing documents willingly and knowingly.
Okay, so making sure nobody's being tricked or forced into anything.
Precisely. And you're also on the lookout for any signs of fraud or anything fishy going on. It's about protecting everyone involved.
Right, because I imagine there are some people out there who would try to take advantage of the system if they could. So a notary public is kind of like a safeguard against that.
You got it. You're there to make sure everything is legal and above board.
Gotcha. So it's a lot more responsibility than just like stamping papers. You're playing a vital role in keeping things honest, especially in today's world where identity theft and things like that are running wild. Okay, so let's say someone's interested and says, sign me up. How do you even become a notary in New York?
Well, first off, you got to meet the basic requirements. You need to be at least 18 years old, a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, and you have to live in New York or have a place of business here.
So far, so good. Pretty standard stuff.
Right. But here's where it gets interesting. New York doesn't require you to take any mandatory classes to become a notary.
Wait, really? No classes? That's pretty different from most states, isn't it?
It is. All lot of the places you get jump through hoops, take a bunch of courses.
Yeah.
But not in New York.
Huh. So that's pretty cool, right? Less hassle. But then that must mean there's a lot more emphasis on figuring things out on your own, self-study, right?
Exactly. While the flexibility is great, it's on you to make sure you really understand New York's specific notarial laws, the procedures, and the ethical guidelines.
Okay, so no pressure, but your signature is basically going to be your word that you know what you're doing.
You've got it. Thorough preparation is absolutely key.
No shortcuts.
Exactly.
All right, so for those who are ready to take on that challenge, let's talk about how to make sure you're prepped and ready to ace that exam.
Luckily, you're not left high and dry, to prep on your own. There are some great resources out there to guide you.
That's good to hear, because diving into legal stuff can be intimidating. Like, where do you even start? What are we talking about here? What kind of resources?
So there are two that come highly recommended, and for good reason.
Okay, lay it on me.
First up, we've got Pass the New York Notary Public Exam, the book. Super straightforward title. But don't let that fool you. It's well known for really breaking down those complicated legal concepts into plain English.
Okay, so it's not just a bunch of legal jargon.
Nope. The author, Angelo Tropia, he knows his stuff when it comes to exam prep, and he's made this book actually understandable. He even uses like memory aids and stuff.
Memory aids? Like what? Yeah, give me an example.
Oh, he's got flashcards in there. You remember those? Good for memorizing definitions and things like that.
Oh, yeah, flashcards. I remember those from like way back in school. Those can be lifesavers. Okay, so we've got the good old-fashioned study guide, the book. Seems like a solid bet. But what about for people who are, glued to their phones? Always on the go. There's got to be an app for this, right?
You know it. You're totally right. There's the NYS Notary Exam Study app.
Catchy. Does it hold up, though? Can an app really compare to a good study guide?
Well, it's impressive. We're talking hundreds of practice questions, and they cover everything you might run into on the actual exam.
That's key, because from what I've heard, the New York Notary exam, it's not just basic definitions of right. They throw some curveballs in there.
Exactly. Real-life scenarios, tricky legal situations. You got to be ready to think on your feet, and that's where all those practice questions come in. Plus, it tracks your progress, show you where you're strong and where you need to buckle down.
Okay, that's pretty smart. I can see how that would be super helpful, especially when you don't have a ton of time to study being able to pinpoint those weak spots and really focus your efforts, that's huge.
Absolutely. And, I did want to mention the book, the Pass the New York Notary one. It's got this whole bonus section on remote notary laws, which is pretty relevant these days.
Oh, right. With everything being online and virtual now, that's becoming more and more common. Okay, so we've got our resources covered. We've got our trusty study guide in the book and our on-the-go companion with the app. But let's shift gears for a sec. We've talked about the what and the how, but what about the uh-oh? What are some common pitfalls people fall into when they're studying for this exam? What should people watch out for so they don't get tripped up?
A lot of people, they make the mistake of thinking this is just about memorizing a bunch of stuff.
Oh, like it's just a vocab test.
Right, like you can just cram a bunch of definitions and procedures and you're good to go. But the New York Notary exam, it's more than that. It's about applying what you know.
Yeah.
They'll throw real-life scenarios at you, tricky legal situations, and you got to figure out how to handle them.
So it's not enough to just know the rules. You have to know how to use them.
Exactly. It's one thing to read a cookbook. It's another thing to actually cook the meal, right?
Totally. I can see how that would throw people off. So that's one pitfall. What else?
The other big one is people forget about the ethical side of things.
Oh, right. Because it's not just about knowing the law. It's about being trustworthy.
Right. Exactly. There are questions on the exam that really test your understanding of a notary's ethical obligations, like confidentiality, what you can and can't share, conflicts of interest, you got to be impartial, and, knowing when to say no when something just doesn't feel right.
Because you're the one who's ultimately responsible. Your signature is on the line.
Exactly. It's a big responsibility.
It sounds like it. Okay, so avoiding those pitfalls, what's the key takeaway here? What's the best way for someone to walk into that exam room feeling confident and ready?
Preparation. And I don't just mean memorizing stuff. I mean really understanding the law, being able to use it, and knowing that you're going to do things the right way, ethically. It's about having that solid foundation.
It sounds like being a notary public, it's more than just a job. It's like almost a philosophy.
You could say that. It's about upholding the integrity of the whole system.
Wow. Well said. So for all of our listeners out there who are on this journey to becoming a New York Notary Public, what are your final words of wisdom for them?
I'd say go for it. It's a rewarding path. You get to help people, you get to be a part of something important. Just be prepared to put in the work, study hard, and never be afraid to ask questions.
Awesome advice. And don't forget, we've got your back with all those great resources we talked about, the book, the app, use them. It's been great diving into this with you.
Likewise. Always a pleasure.
For everyone listening, until next time, happy studying, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive.
Looking to ace the New York State Notary Public exam? We've got you covered. Our app offers over 750 questions, true and false and multiple choice, to ensure you're prepared for anything on the exam. Get access to meticulously curated law summaries and keynotes, designed for easy understanding and retention. Track your progress with real-time feedback and retest on questions you find challenging. Our report card system lets you track your progress over time. Stay up to date with ongoing updates to make sure you're always studying the latest information. With user-friendly navigation, you can seamlessly move between quizzes, notes, and summaries, all in one place. Whether you're a first-time candidate or just refreshing your knowledge, our app is the ultimate resource for passing the New York State Notary exam. Download the New York State Notary Exam Study app today and take the first step towards your notary career. Now available in both the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.